Ooh, very mysterious. All right, so I'm joined by Pete from Iron Gate. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome. I'm joined by Josephine and Jonathan.
Yeah. Hi.
So glad you could make it.
Yeah.
Thank
Of
you.
course.
We pretty close.
Yes.
Iron Gate is like.
I don't know, 100 meters?
Yeah, but it's still a bit different here this time. There's wires going everywhere and like tons of people here.
Oh, we have wires all the time in our office. Like,
I guess so, yeah.
We have such
That's why you know so much.
Yeah, such an annoying big office. Anyways, yeah, so welcome. We're going to talk about Valheim, and we're going to talk about what we just saw. Very mysterious.
Yes,
what did we
you just saw
witness?
was a teaser trailer for our Bog Witch update, which is something that's coming fairly soon.
Yeah.
And there is a longer version of that trailer, but you'll have to wait until it hits the public test branch before you get to see that.
What a tease. So for people who have not played Valheim, can you give me like a quick elevator pitch of like what Valheim is all about? For the two people that watching the stream that don't know what Valheim is.
Yeah, what do we say? I don't know.
Viking adventure game with crafting and exploration?
Yeah, for up to 10 players. So play with friends or play it by yourself.
Yeah.
I'd say. So, yeah.
Build a base, defeat monsters, gain the glory of the Allfather.
Very nice. Yeah. Very cool. All right, so yeah, let's talk about what's in this update. Do you want to kick it off?
Yeah, so I mean, while we're working on Deep North, which is what everybody wants, obviously, it's in pre-production. So we've also been working on this smaller update, which is going to come, like we said, within a few weeks, I think. Without setting an exact, like whenever we feel it's ready, it's going to be out on the public test branch. And it's going to be like a smaller update that has things that I think a lot of people are going to appreciate, though.
It is going to feature the Bog Witch, the eponymous. She is a trader, and you can buy some stuff from her, which will let you do more things, including make feasts.
Yeah, so feasts are like food level 2, kind of like you can combine lots of different stuff and make it look a lot nicer. You can place foods on the tables directly. You don't need to use these item stands for everything anymore. And the
so
feasts
much fun.
are so much better. You can and then you can put up the feasts, which are huge, and they can be eaten multiple times by
And they last longer too.
And they last much longer. Yeah. So the stats are a little bit different, but I think people appreciate that you can be out on adventure a lot longer with them. So.
Very cool.
Yeah, and you can also make potions from the ingredients that she sells.
Yeah, a lot of new potions, some of them more special than others. Like might be a love potion in there for those who are interested. I'm not going to spoil more than that, but...
That's for discovery.
Yeah, could be, yeah. And also, I think one of the big things in this update is we're adding a few skills to the game, which have been like asked from the community for forever. For farming and cooking and crafting, or building, basically. Which, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of players who are not always out in combat, doing all the different weapons and stuff. They're staying home in the base, and they want to get some sort of an edge on, like, they've been farming forever, so they want to have a skill for that. So that's something that we've been thinking about for a long time, not quite figuring out how we can implement that in a good way, but I think we found something that we're quite happy with. So.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I just had a random question. I gotta get this out of my head. Is the Bog Witch based on some like real mythological thing, or?
No, I think she's mostly based on one type of creature that we already have in the game. I guess it's safe to say. It was Robin, our colleague, who did the main design for her. I think he just wanted to go off and design a cool creature.
Yeah, yeah, I would say that too. Yeah.
Very cool. So we talked about potions. We talked about feasts. Is there anything else?
Yeah, like one more thing for the, I think one of the nice things, there's some quality of life stuff basically coming in. We split up, like we added a prep table, so there's not as many recipes in the cauldron. There's also going to be like for another crafting station for all the meads. And also, like, you can craft multiple things at a time, which I know has been a huge feature request many times. And also, we have one new item, which is the scythe, which is that you can farm multiple items at a time, so you don't have to click every single one.
Which is highly requested.
Highly requested. And, yeah, so this is more like a small update. Obviously, there's going to be people that will be like, oh, Deep North one, but I think a lot of other players will appreciate what's in it.
Yeah.
And we should also just say that this hasn't taken that much time away from the Deep North development. This is I wouldn't say in any percentage, but heavily like a graphic-based update. It's basically a lot of visual assets with a bit of programming behind it to create this update.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you can't have the entire team just jump over straight. We need to go through pre-production, plan out a lot of stuff, and do a lot of tests. So this is basically something. Give the players some content that a lot of people have been wanting for a long time, and so that some of the developers have something to do while waiting for Deep North stuff. So and which we'll talk more about later, I think, too.
Yeah, you stole my little cue here.
Don't steal this segues.
But we will talk more about this stuff because you guys are in early access right now, but you are gearing towards that 1.0.
Yep.
And I can tell you from experience that it is the hardest stretch. It's a rough stretch, but you guys will get there soon, and it's going to be great. But we'll talk more about that later in the stream. We'll talk more about Deep North, and we'll talk more about like 1.0 and sort of what work goes into that stuff. I think it's going to be super good. Yeah.
Looking forward to come back.
Yeah. There was one question I had in chat that I wanted to call out, but I already forgot what it was.
So nice to watch this.
So what I was going to say was that I at least in our game, we tend to find that like these quality of life stuff tends to be more valuable than what we think, especially in these like type of games where there's a lot of like building and there's a lot of like, just adding the scythe could be a thing where people are like, it's a completely different game now.
Yeah.
That small things sometimes means a lot for like your playstyle and.
I think this is going to be a huge improvement for those who want to stay back in the base, and they're actually going to feel like that's something that's rewarded in a different way now.
Yeah. But it's also a hard balance there because like there's definitely a list of 100 things that we could do that would like say make the game easier and like a good tool, but we don't want to change everything either. Like we do want to have a certain amount of inventory management, and like it's also part of the kind of core experience of the game. So I think it's hard sometimes to choose what quality of life stuff goes in or what is like actually like removing you from playing the game.
Yeah, it's hard because you don't want to make it so you optimize away the fun of the game. And quality of life stuff tends to have that effect sometimes.
Yeah, I'm actually I haven't played, I played Satisfactory a few years ago, but I'm really happy to play like at 1.0 now, which I haven't done yet, to see like, okay, what did
it's garbage. Don't worry about it. The game is still the same. It's still garbage. Cool. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. We're back on the couch, and I'm just going to stall a little bit, so just if it gets a chance to get back in. How are you feeling?
Yeah, good. It's really nice. I like the show.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I heard this, the voting thing was coded in the night.
Yeah. Carl, one of the organizers for this event, made...
Why didn't you make me a cool graphic like you have when you're running?
Yeah, we should have done that, actually. Yeah.
Just have it live.
Yeah. No, Carl made the whole thing for that voting thing just like last night.
That's pretty cool. Also pretty risky though, but so you could probably find an exploit. Go find it. Guys.
This is
you know how you do in Valheim, so go ahead.
This is sort of what it is like to sort of set up these like sort of events. It's like everything's coming down to the wire. I'm joined again by Josephine and Jonathan. Yeah. We're here to talk more Valheim. Yeah.
I'm a little out of breath, so I'll be with you.
And we're going to talk about like, we kind of teased about it in the last segment where we talked about 1.1. Sorry.
Not yet.
I got everything mixed up.
Deep North.
1.0. Deep North.
Yeah.
Exciting times.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's really exciting. I mean, it's been the whole journey from early access and finally going to go to 1.0. And I know everybody's are like, oh, it's never going to happen. They're taking all their time, but it's been a fairly clear development cycle where we have like the big 3 biomes that we're going to finish. So Deep North is going to be 1.0, obviously, and there's also going to be a whole lot of, a lot of other stuff that we're going to try to get in there. So besides the actual biome, there's definitely a lot of other stuff that we're working on. That's going to try to get that in there too.
Yeah. And you sort of learned from your previous biomes like how to make this one, or you look like I don't know if you did.
I mean, it's always that kind of the design philosophy that we kind of have. What would Black Forest do that we've been going for? So it's doing that again, but make it Deep Northy.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely going to be a bit different. for Deep North. I know that a lot of people have different thoughts about Ashlands, and we're actually going to talk more about Ashlands later, I think. But for Deep North, we're going for a little bit different, tone it down a little bit, try to make it nice and cozy again. One of the things we had is the idea of making a Christmas card. It's definitely going to be difficult. Don't get us wrong there. There's going to be hard parts, but it's probably a little bit more laid back, so you can relax a little bit more in the game.
A final breather before the very end of the game.
Yeah, you could say that. So,
but
yeah, I mean, there's
still an endgame biome very much. So.
Yeah. There will be a lot of difficult monsters and boss definitely for that. So.
Nice.
Hopefully it will feel like a 1.0, like not just like, oh, another biome, and by the way, it's also done. We do have some cool things that we're going to try to get in there. We're going to look through the rest of the game for a bit, not change too much because it's definitely a working recipe, but try to add a little bit of spice here and there for the rest of the game as well.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit more about that stuff in the next segment, where we'll be having sort of a round table discussion with a bunch of games, talking about like what it's like working games for 1.0 and early access and that stuff. But yeah, what was the sort of design decisions that, like the major design decisions that went into Deep North?
It's still going on, and we're very much not done yet.
They're definitely being made as we speak, kind of. I mean, we're still in a pre-production, very soon going over to main full production on it. So there's been a lot of different ideas. There's different ways to go, and we're definitely not there on all those points yet. So.
And that's also why we haven't shared anything publicly, like any visuals from the Deep North yet, because it is very much pre-production, and we don't want to show something that would end up not getting into the game, since it's very much still in the design phase. But soon, hopefully.
Yeah. But there's also other things like something that a lot of people ask for, like achievements and possibly mod support and things like that go into, that are like kind of meta game parts of it, but that are also needed for the like Xbox and stuff. And definitely coming to Steam then as well. So I think hopefully it'll be a good 1.0, and that people will appreciate it. And then that being said, I mean, 1.0 is 1.0. As you guys know, satisfactory. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's all of it.
It's the end of it, no.
But then we at least feel done with the base game, the original experience. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You have a talking point that's just difficulty.
Difficulty.
What is this about?
Oh wow, I don't remember what we were thinking about. But
I think it is very much that the Ashlands is very much a ramp up in difficulty, and we want again to have the Deep North not to be an easy biome, but to still have those like calm moments that you can get to. Like we said, some parts of the Deep North will feel kind of like a Christmas card. Like you can already see now, like in the placeholder that you can see on the B-roll now, it is kind of trees and snow and kind of a calm landscape. And this is still from the Deep North that you can see as a placeholder in the game right now, but it's still gonna have some of that feeling if a lot more fleshed out.
Yeah, and I think one of the things on difficulty there I was thinking about before was like having a bit of an asymmetrical difficulty curve. So the game is not just constantly becoming harder and more grindier in every single biome. Where, of course, the step from, let's say, Mistlands to Ashlands is definitely a step up in difficulty. And you, as a lot of people have noticed, you get swarmed a lot by enemies. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be like another step up from that.
Gotcha.
More of a parallel step. Difficulty,
and I mean...
difficult in another way.
Yeah, for sure.
And are you like changing any of the previous biomes?
There are like hopes, I think, of having something new for most biomes. Like nothing major, but at least something everywhere, so that there will be a value in replaying the game from the start, and not just going into play Deep North, but to actually start the game over from like the very beginning. Since it's going to be the 1.0 game, that's going to be like a whole new experience, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, both adding a few things, tweaking a few things, like going over the biomes, like what feedback have we had during like the whole development process? Because even though we always want to work on the next thing, people are still like, oh, when are you going to fix this in this old biome? And there's definitely some thoughts on like...
We have a whole icebox.
Yeah, a very big icebox.
All right. Yeah. So the most important question when it comes to 1.0 that we all get as developers, are you going to add achievements to the game?
Yeah, of course. We will.
What about achievements?
Achievement is definitely going to be on there. So
That better be real good.
I believe.
I know we have a list for that as well, like
Yeah.
potential achievements and what they should entail.
Yeah,
So,
I think we have some good thoughts on achievements, so they're not just going to be there. They're not just going to be there. We're hopefully going to make them good, fairly balanced as well. How did you do? Had a lot on Satisfactory as well, I guess.
How we did, or even
yeah.
I don't know. We try to make achievements for everyone, and then the hardcore people were like, the achievements are too easy. We're like, but everyone plays the I don't know. Some games have like really difficult achievements, and it's all about like finishing the game, but
and not having too grindy, like chop down 10,000 trees or something. That would just be boring. So.
Mod support.
Yeah, I mean, we have a ton of mods. I think the modding community is great. We don't have like official mod support yet because that would add a lot of development time for us. Yeah, like every time we patch the game, it definitely breaks a lot of mods. So it's definitely something we're talking about, that we want to have better mod support. Like to what extent? I don't want to promise anything there, but like 2 or like either 2 or 1.0 or maybe a bit after there. I think looking at better mod support is something that we want to do. I think.
Cool. Is there going to be like a full-on ending to the game, or? Yeah,
there's going to definitely be an ending to the game. So the game will be like you will be able to play from start to finish. There's going to be an ending. It's going to be cool.
You will still have the opportunity to like stay and work on your base that you've spent many hours on, but you will also be able to have that experience of starting the game, playing the game, finishing the game, and getting that satisfying feeling to completing your big quest.
Yeah,
gotcha. Yeah. Really cool. All right. Now is the time.
Yeah.
So I was almost going to say, like, wish list Valheim, but everyone's already bought this game. Like, everybody owns it. Who am I kidding? Everyone in this room has it in their library, 100%. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
we're going to move over to the next couch, and we're going to have a little bit of a roundtable discussion. And in order to do that, we have this portal over here. Let's go.
Portal.
To know that, this is 1.0. Because I think it's interesting from your guys' perspective, like you're now at that point where, because we struggled a lot with this for Satisfactory, where what is 1.0? Like what do we need to have in the game to be able to like define it as 1.0? Like you guys are in that position right now. Like what did you guys recently?
I mean, I think the game would be very different if there wasn't like quite a bit of success with the release. So like I think the game would probably be done by now already.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've been like increasing the standards that we work by, our own expectations, and from fans as well. So it definitely changes how you like our own expectations of what 1.0 has to be. Mm-hmm. So in the end, I think it'll be a better game now, but it also takes more time.
Yeah.
And I think another thing I want to add to that, like what would you have done differently, is definitely not make a cross-platform multiplayer while in early access. That just, I mean, even though we're not actually like doing the other platform work, it definitely adds a lot of just the fact that we can't patch immediately to Steam whenever we want. As long as it's something that changes the netcode, then we have to make sure it syncs with all the platforms, or we're going to be breaking the cross-play during that time. So that's just like one small thing that. Good to think about, but I guess Satisfactory. You're doing.
Are you guys like full crossplay or?
Yeah.
That is. We're right now trying to figure out if we want to do that or not, and we're a bit hesitant because it has been nice to just be on PC because it's like faster deployment time.
I think I'll just leave this interview right now.
It's tricky. For sure. What advice would you give people if they're considering doing early access?
I would say it's really important that the game suits early access. Like obviously we have some really good examples here that work well. Yeah. Like open games that have like potentially hundreds or even thousands of hours. People are going to play them for a longer period of time. There is balance to come back to, things like that, or multiplayer. If your game is more of like a one experience game, I see a lot of early access games coming out like, I want to play that game, but I don't want to touch until they're done with it. Mm-hmm. And I think the fact that like having the game both that the game suits early access, but also that you bring it up to a level where what you're giving them, even if it's early access, it's not a beta. You want it to look good. You're still going to get reviews. The future of your game is going to kind of be decided on, was your early access launch a failure? You're probably not going to work on it for 10 more years then. So, yeah.
Made it.
Welcome.
Yeah. Welcome back. So smooth. All right, that joke never gets old. Welcome back to Spinning Unicorn. Man, you guys have a lot of segments on this.
Yes.
Which I think is really cool because like the spill, when we organized this whole thing, the spill is really about like what people bring to this event, and you guys brought the stuff. And we were like, cool, we'll take it, cool. So
limit us a little bit more.
Not
as much Valheim stuff.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about Ashlands in the segment and some feedback, and you sort of address this stuff.
Yeah. So and also for those who haven't played Valheim, Ashlands is the latest biome that we added to the game, which we added this spring. It was in May, I believe. That was the live release. So it's as of right now, the last biome of the game, but it's going to be the second to last biome once the game is over. So it is very much an end game biome, which means high difficulty.
Yeah, I think, the reception has been, I think we're in the office like very happy with what we did. It's definitely every biome that we release is like the most worked on biome with the most content, like the most weapons and build pieces and progression.
Most people working on it every time.
Yeah, that too. So we're kind of upping the game every time. The reception has been generally good. Like there's a lot of people who really like it, but there's definitely been some criticism that it was like way too hard. It's just like too many enemies and everything. And yes, that's true. It's also mostly by design. This is the end of the game. And I think one problem that we've faced because of this is early access is the fact that like we're building an end game biome, but people will be maybe haven't played the game for a year or 2 years.
Yeah, so people came in and they were rusty because they just simply hadn't played it, as opposed to like if you go in and play the game naturally, you would have come from the still pretty difficult Mistlands and then gone directly to the Ashlands, which would be more difficult. But now you maybe were like on a Black Forest level and then went to play the Ashlands and it got very drastic.
Yeah, or you just go there without being fully prepped with all the foods and all the items and stuff. So, but I mean, that's also one of the challenges that we have, that they were catering to. Like we have to make sure that our active players get something, but also that the full final experience from playing from start to finish is actually a good game that we want to make. So yeah.
But it is generally hard, like when you make something that you intend to be in a certain way, and it's like it doesn't come across the way that you expect it. Because like maybe people, when they download an update, they just expect like, oh, I can just dive into this immediately, and that's not really the intentional always, you know. Yeah,
and I mean that's something that we learned in this case, that it is harder to release an end game area like that, because you'll definitely have people who just go there and just expect to be like, oh, any other biome. But just and maybe they also forgot like the first time they got into plains and like, oh, this is so pretty, and then like
you died.
And there comes the Death Eater and just like slams you down or instant kill you. So yeah,
there is definitely like that difficulty spike with each biome. So it's probably because the first 5 biomes were in the game from the start, so then you didn't get that significant spike from like the swamps to the mountains maybe that you feel like you got now.
Yeah, and also the fact that like if you play the game from the start and if Ashlands was there from the beginning, then you're judging it in a different sense. Like then you play the game, and if it turns out like, oh, the next year is too hard, maybe you stay back. Because I know a lot of our players, they simply stay in meadows and Black Forest and just like building forever. And now you're giving them an update, and they want, of course, to access that content. So then they're kind of forced into that area in a different way.
Yeah.
Then again, that is also why we have like the difficulty modifiers that we added earlier before the Ashlands update. So if people do find that the Ashlands is too much of a challenge, there are ways to mitigate that to make it a more suitable experience. Like for myself, whenever we playtested the Ashlands, I always play on easy because I'm not a pro gamer.
And I hope that's been an appreciated part of it. Like I think that helps a lot of players to be able to play it in the way that they want.
Yeah, and harder if they want that as well.
Yeah.
Because I always feel like the same thing when we worked on updates for Satisfactory. Like it's hard to please everyone when you make an update.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like usually, sometimes you have to sort of like focus on one player archetype or whatever. Like, and if people that play the game are very into like the base building aspect of the game and that's the only thing they care about, then yeah, of course, like release an update that is more about like combat in your case, I assume. Then yeah, of course, then that player group will feel left out and. Yeah, and it's hard to convey that.
Yeah,
sometimes,
we've
because
gotten feedback from like both types of players. Like there have been the feedback saying the game is way too difficult in the Ashlands, but when we have nerfed that, some people have said, "No, why did you nerf it? It was so good that it was a challenge." So it's
you never win. Like you can't ever get everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Like I mean, and also initially the first release to PTB, it was definitely difficult, and you had certain like a lot of people like, oh, this is way too much. But there was certain people who were like, well, this is great. I really love this difficulty setting. Then we did tone it down for the live release. And then, of course, some of them were like, no, it was even better before. And even so, another issue that we had with this was that we did tone it down additionally, but this was released to PTB right before the summer. And in Sweden, most people go on vacation during the summer. So at the time, we didn't really have time to finish that off to make sure it was stable to go to live.
Yeah, because we don't want to put something on live that's not stable. Like if there is a risk of crashing, then we'd rather have something that's maybe a little bit unbalanced but stable on live. Yeah,
exactly. And that means that like most people's impressions of Ashlands was like they're playing during the whole summer, and maybe not a lot of people came that thought that was too much, that they would come back after the summer. So for those of you who haven't played it, if you heard that, I mean, I think it's toned down somewhat, but then again, I mean, it's still intended to be an endgame biome. And then going back to what we were talking about before, like we have listened in that regard to make to approach it slightly differently with Deep North, that like not just up this difficulty again, but rather look at like, okay, we want to get a little bit of the feeling of some of the other biomes back, so we don't have the like just a linear curve going up in difficulty.
And hopefully, like when Valheim reaches 1.0 and people come back and play the whole thing again, they will get a different experience of the Ashlands than they got initially.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I hope so.
Can you guys talk a little bit about like how you manage your PTB, like the public test bed, or wait?
Public test branch.
Branch, that's what it is. It's like I was thinking of realm. But yeah, PTB, like how do you approach that? Like, is it a thing where you have running in parallel, or is it like a staging ground, or like how do you?
I mean, it's opt-in, so anybody can access it, and it's like we didn't have this a few years ago, and we would just push an update out, and sometimes we'd even do that like end of the week or end of the day, and then somebody calls like, oh, you broke something, and they're like, oh crap, we have to go back, and I just like make a quick patch
Friday
and do
afternoon.
this. And we could also do that quicker when we were only on Steam. Now we have to sync it with the Xbox releases, but it's also like we don't want to be forced to, like, preferably not to do too much stuff on the weekends and stuff like that, to just like fix them. So the PTB is mostly to get it out there, to make sure that like a set amount of players can play it, and we can like get the bug reports in before, and also test like the grounds and see what do people think about this before going out to everyone.
To make sure it's stable and that everything works mostly as we intended.
Yeah.
So it's usually 2 weeks on the public test branch, depending on a little bit.
Because I can relate to the summer vacation thing, because we've had that situation as well, where like Swedish summer, I don't know what to tell you. Swedish, the way it works in Sweden is just everyone goes on vacation at the same time.
And it's great.
And it's awesome. Like we have 4 weeks, like almost, I think it's by law that you have to have at least, if you want to.
If you want to take 4 weeks off, you can do that, and your employer can't tell you not to.
Yeah, can't tell you not to. So usually games, or like studios try to like plan around that. And you definitely don't want to put something out there that is like going to be broken during summer.
No.
So it's like better to leave it in a good spot, but then you have the issue that you talked about, where like maybe it doesn't reflect the game it is, and people who play on PTB will have a better experience in some ways, but then they need to note that they need to opt in, and maybe there are aspects of PTB that they don't want.
And it'll also be interesting, like in this case, and I'm not saying that it's all been bad, but there's definitely been like a certain amount of players that think like, yeah, it's too hard in certain ways. But it'll be interesting to see like how does that balance when we reach 1.0. Like we'll definitely revisit some areas. Like we'll still always look at the feedback and like revisit certain things maybe in Ashlands as well. But how does that compare when we also have Deep North there, and you have the whole game as a whole for people playing from the beginning? Like how does the balance feel then?
Yeah, that's tricky.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you guys could join us and give us some insight into this, and hopefully people playing Valheim will feel like they learned something today.
Thanks for letting us talk.
Yeah. No, you're so welcome. Anytime. All right.
We're going for some real business now. Board games. It's real stuff.
Ta-da!
All right, we got a tabletop segment.
Does that look good, chat?
Can you see? Looks amazing.
Good. I arranged this so meticulously, and then they had me move sets.
Yeah, we should get some of this stuff out here.
All right. So what is the Valheim game about? Actually, you got funded in a, well, what, you want to start with a trailer, actually?
Yes.
Yeah.
Please roll the trailer, actually.
Go.
Rolling the trailer.
Rulla trailer.
No trailer?
No trailer.
No trailer.
Okay. Oh.
Mighty warriors, Odin summons you to cleanse Valheim of the growing evil. Gather your allies to fight off the sinister Forsaken who stand in your way of glory. Together, you explore the wilderness and face its dangers to complete objectives. Build up your strength before you are ready to challenge the Forsaken. Eikthyr, the Elder, Bone Mass, and Modar will seek to disrupt your progress at every step. You must conquer their challenges or perish under their ever-growing pressure. To succeed, discover the lands of Valheim and seek out essential resources by land and sea. Use them to upgrade your base and craft powerful equipment for you and your group. Fight off the dangers of the wilderness as you carve a path forward. And remember to cook a hearty meal to stay strong. A hero needs to eat. But be wary. The Forsaken will always try to stop you. A slew of obstacles from poisoned crops to troll attacks will test your resolve. Sometimes the strength of your allies will be your greatest asset. Finally, when you have completed your objectives, challenge the Forsaken at their altar, where your combined strategy and skill will come to the test. In this final battle, they will unleash overwhelming attacks. Be vigilant of their tricks that turn the battlefield against you, and try your best to stay alive. Will you claim victory against the Forsaken, or will you die a warrior's death? Step forth into Valheim and prove yourself chosen warrior. Join the adventure on GameFound now.
All right. You just saw the amazing trailer for the Valheim board game. How does it feel?
That's cool.
It's really awesome to have a board game made from our game. So yeah, it's really nice.
I think you hit your funding goal in like what, 53 minutes?
Yes,
was it?
53 minutes.
Okay.
And I checked earlier, just an hour ago, I think we're on 1,070,000 euros for funding, and I think that's 5,600 backers, a little over that. If I'm remembering correctly.
And you can still jump in now. You
yes,
can keep
absolutely.
On.
We got two more weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So do back and get this lovely game that we have right here.
Physical.
I think you should be able to get a little.
Touch the pieces. It's not CGI.
No, not the die. I think you should also get a little URL here somewhere in the screen if I wave my hand like that.
Yes.
Look at that.
Valheim.com.
Yeah, so this is like the basic edition, though.
Yeah,
So this is
we'll
like
get
the
to that
standard.
one.
Yeah,
This is only but one of the editions. All right. How is it compared to the digital game? How did you make sure to keep all the mechanics? How similar is it?
I think it translates very well. Like you have the these tiles. You have your base tile, and then you have different tiles for different biomes, and you have the fog of war on them. And then as you explore, you flip them to reveal what's underneath them.
Right, but you can tell the biome from the
Yes,
back
exactly,
side. Yes.
exactly.
Cool.
And then you gather resources, you encounter enemies. If you're unlucky, chopping wood will result in enemies attacking you. So it's pretty close to the computer game in that sense.
Indirectly lethal.
You craft gear, you craft items, and you visit bosses, and and you go to Haller, buy some stuff.
Good.
So yeah, I played this a few weeks ago, actually, first time for me, and I thought it was great, actually. I mean, I'm not really into co-op board games as much but I thought it was a lot of fun. You always had some interesting choices to make. It feels, especially coming from like a Valheim, I think Valheim players at least will enjoy it a lot. I think also non-Valheim players, but it definitely feels like a good board game version of the game.
Yeah, board gamers could definitely get into this.
The biggest difference, I guess, is that we don't have 10 players available for this. It's
sadly.
1 to 4 players, and every game is a scenario that you set up. So you play either, we have the 4 first bosses in this game, so you play either a scenario for Eikthyr, the Elder, Bone Mess, or Motor, like you saw in the trailer. So every game is a scenario set up towards a boss fight.
Yeah.
In terms of game time and sort of complexity, what can a person expect in terms of like from Dominion and sort of like Settlers of Catan up to something like, I don't know, Twilight Imperium? What are we looking at here, right?
It's about 2 hours, and I think like if you're used to the game, it could probably be a bit shorter than that as well.
Yeah, and I feel like you learn it pretty quickly, and they also have these like neat little cards where you can show, you can see all the actions that you have on a turn. So it's I feel it plays pretty naturally.
Right, and there's different campaigns to scale the length.
Yeah, there are some shorter scenarios that are only, I think, maybe not only in the meadows, but only meadows and Black Forest if you don't want to do the more difficult scenarios as well.
That makes sense. How is it working with sort of Mood to get everything made, to fulfill everything basically? Like, was it an easy process for making this happen?
Yeah, it's been really good. Yeah, so for everyone who doesn't know, we are not making the board game. It's Mood. You can see the little logo on the box there. They're a Danish studio, and they have also made the board game for Deep Rock Galactic. So they already had a good track record, and it's just been great working with them. They're kind of just doing their thing, and we're happy to provide feedback.
That's awesome. No, it's great, and they work very closely with you. They ask for feedback rounds. That's awesome.
Yeah.
In terms of, well, I know you just said you teased it earlier, basic version, but I know there's deluxe versions. I think if you've checked out the backing site for it, you can actually see they're even chunkier than this. This is already
this is the very
box.
Standard edition. Yeah, so it has miniatures for the players, but for enemies and such, it's just standees. But it's still like it has the content that you will need to play the game. And then you have the deluxe edition, which features miniatures for all the enemies, and it's got little gold foil edges to the box, so it looks extra luxurious. And then there's the collector's edition, which is the deluxe edition plus the Haldor's Hoard. I hope you're enjoying my sales pitch here, which is a Haldor miniature as well as, I believe, some more Haldor items that you can buy. And then finally, there's the deluxe all-in collector's all-in edition, which is everything from the collector's edition plus all the add-ons that you can buy. So dice, I think, coasters, a dice tray, a bunch of stuff. STL files for the miniatures, so you can print them yourselves. Like there's a bunch of things which you can all find it on the board game page on GameFound.
Will you even get a Viking ship in here?
Yes, if you followed the game before the campaign started, you will get a boat miniature for free if you back. But it's available as an add-on as well.
Excellent. That's very cool. And the box was almost a cube, with the biggest edition of it. You could roll it for luck.
Yes.
If anybody has seen the Deep Rock Galactic box, it's pretty big. So yeah,
it's big.
Probably the same. Yeah. Well, all the miniatures, they take a lot of space. They're really nice.
Yes,
they're really
nice.
Yeah. So this is like a prototype version. That's why we can't really pick out everything. It's not as nice as the actual finished product. So yeah.
Even better than this.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, and also they, since it's a campaign, it's still live. Mood have also responded to the comments they've gotten. So there's an expansion that I think they announced it just today or yesterday maybe, with more GameFound exclusive stuff. So if you back the game on GameFound, you will get some stuff that you won't be able to buy in retail later. So go back it now.
Yeah, you still have 2 weeks to back it?
Yes, a few more weeks.
Can we get the link in here? I think someone was asking again for the link, so let's just drop it one more time.
It is valheim.com/boardgame, so it's not hard to remember.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. We're going to bring in, speaking about Mood and
DRD
board game, you're staying on, so we can chat about working with Mood. So you already have a board game out.
Yes.
I
just backed this one because actually,
right now on your phone.
Which version did you get though?
The big one.
Oh yeah, good for you. Otherwise.
So I've been designing this along with my son, who's a big Valheim fan, right? And we've been talking about how to design a Valheim board game. So I'm really looking forward to how Ole he solved this one.
Yeah.
So
board game design is very fun. For anyone into video game design, board game design, I highly recommend it.
And super hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a published board game out. I'm going to rep myself real quick. I have a published board game right now with Arcane Wonders, Critical Mass. Anyway, not really.
Yeah, go buy it.
Board game design is wild. It's totally different, but also very fun and very similar. So, awesome. Glad we have a lot of cool board games to play now.
Yes, yes.
But you already worked through this sort of backing process. How was it did you run it yourself, or did Mood help out?
No. So Mood, they took care of everything in terms of running the campaign.
They're so helpful.
Yeah, so helpful. Have done this a few times now, so they really know the inside out of doing a Kickstarter or Game Found. Basically the same, right? But we were heavily involved in the design process with Ole and Mood about getting the game right. And we talked a lot about that the game should be for our fans, first and foremost, and we wouldn't try to be like a clever board game for connoisseurs in that sense. I think we hit somewhere in between, but definitely aligned more to the fan than the fantasy about playing a deep rock board game.
That makes sense for a video game adaptation. You want to stay true to your fans. I mean, those are the people that are going to back your game, really, foremost. So, that's awesome. So great. Do you have is it still possible to buy your board game?
Yeah. So you can still order it on Mood Publishing's webpage. I think there'll be a link somewhere. And we just starting right now has been delivering of the expansions for the board game, which basically doubled. So if you take the expansion and the game and put them on top of each other, this is the size.
It's a Minecraft cube.
I'm not sure if that's a good thing.
It takes your whole shelf. Someone will have to plan to build around this, right?
It's kind of crazy.
Structural support.
It's really been fun to be part of that, and another check mark on the bucket list of things to do.
It's a fun game too. I know we got a copy, so we played it before we started working with this. So really enjoyed it.
We